What I am looking at is called Observatory of Economic Complexity, OEC. And the reason I'm looking at it has something to do with NNPC. Now that NNPC has come out to increase the pump price of petrol, it is absolutely important for us to shine light on the activities of the NNPC so that we can prove to Nigerians and prove to ourselves that indeed there is no need for that and that NNPC and the Tinubu administration should reverse that decision. We want to prove it. Now, OEC, Observatory of Economic Complexity, is an organization run by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in the United States. It is a paid service online where you pay to get information about different countries that has to do with business, their exports, their imports, and all of that. It's paid. So I need to stress that it is paid so that you will know that the information you get from there is reliable. Very, very reliable. Observatory of Economic Complexity. Now, what does this have to say about the NNPC, about Tinubu, about Mele Kyari? What does he have to say about the fuel subsidy regime in Nigeria? What does he have to say about the pump price in Nigeria? I want to unravel some things that will marvel you. Not marvel, that will annoy you. So please, viewer discretion is advised. If you don't have a threshold for surprise, if you are not able to sustain shock information, please hold your peace, wait a moment, come back later for this information. Organization, okay, Observatory of Economic Complexity. I'll just open it now. Okay, this has to do with news. Where is it again? All right, it's here. Observatory of Economic Complexity, OEC. What do they have to say about Nigeria? What information can we glean from their website? Remember, I told you it is a paid service. What this does is that it gives information about the export and import activities of countries. And from these export and import activities of countries, you can determine how much a country makes. So what we're trying to glean from this is this. How much did Nigeria make and how much of it came from crude oil? So how do we trace that back to NNPC? And how will that help us to determine whether NNPC is lying about how much it earns, lying about fuel subsidy, and whether or not Tinubu or the Tinubu administration knows about it? That's why we're looking at this. Now, look at what the OEC says about Nigeria. It says, in 2022, Nigeria was number 30 economy in the world in terms of GDP. The number 51 in total exports. The number 53 in total imports. The number 146 in terms of GDP per capita. There are about 172 countries in the world. And in terms of GDP per capita, that is the amount of money a country has divided by the number of people in that country. So how much money does each individual citizen have to spend? Nigeria is number 146 in the whole world. And number 127, most complex economy according to the Economic Complexity Index. Now let's look at the exports and what we can glean from that. Exports. The top exports of Nigeria are crude petroleum, that is crude oil. In 2022, the OEC reports that Nigeria made $52 billion from selling crude oil alone. $52 billion. Petroleum gas is $9 billion in 2022. Petroleum gas, that's natural gas. In 2022, Nigeria made $9 billion from petroleum gas. This is according to OEC. It's an international organization. Like I said, it's run by MIT in the United States. And they use data from both source countries and destination countries to calculate how much a country makes. Now, in Nigeria, because of corruption, it is possible for government agencies, NIMASA, NNPC, FIRS, Nigerian Customs, it is possible for them to reduce the declared amount of revenues made so that they can do whatever they like with the rest. It's very, very possible. But you see, this is not possible at the destination countries. So if NNPC ships crude oil and declares a lesser amount, the destination cannot do that. And that is what helps organizations like the OEC to be able to determine accurately how much a country makes. So I won't advise that you listen to the probe of the Senate or the National Assembly alone, or you look at the audited accounts of the NNPC alone. You can look at that just for official documentation. But if you want to get the true fact, compare it with the destination countries where these crude oil are sold. It will give you a clearer picture. Now, we'll come back later to what NNPC declared as their total revenue from crude oil sales in 2022. But right now, let us just see what the OEC said NNPC made, or Nigeria made, from selling crude oil in 2022. 52 billion. Natural gas, 9 billion. Nitrous fertilizers. Can you believe that Nigeria actually exports fertilizer? Can you believe that in 2022? Now, mind you, in 2022, Dangote Refinery has not come into operation. 2022, Dangote Refinery has not come into operation. 2022, in fact, Dangote Refinery came into operation, partial operation, in May of 2023. That was when Buhari launched or inaugurated the Dangote refineries, and they started partial production of partial production of diesel, which we argued was not possible. But they got away with it anyway. So by 2022, Dangote refinery has not come into place. So where did Nigeria get the fertilizers from? Mind you, fertilizer is made from the distillates or byproduct of the refining of petrol. So if Nigeria was exporting fertilizer in 2022 to the tune of $2 billion, it means that Nigeria must have been getting the refined product from a refinery. But if you recall, as at 2022, Nigeria was not refining. Our refineries were dead. Even though the NNPC was paying their staff full money, billions of naira was going into that, budgetarily. Even though the staff resumed and go to work, but we were told that the refinery was dead. But here, we are getting information from international organizations like the OEC that during this period, Nigeria was exporting fertilizer, which is only possible if Nigeria was refining petrol. So what does this mean? Does it mean that Nigeria was actually refining? Does it mean that our refineries are actually working and somebody is just lying to the public? Is that what it means? Does it stand to reason that this is possible, considering that the NNPC actually pays staff of the refineries and actually the staff actually resume to work? Data doesn't lie. This is data we are looking at. Guess what? Refined petroleum, even though it is small, in 2022, Nigeria exported refined petroleum. Officially, this information is gotten from data presented or data gleaned from Nigerian Customs, NIMASA, FIRS, NNPC, and the likes. That's where they get this information. So in 2022, can you believe that Nigeria actually exported refined petrol? And Nigeria exported gold, 806 million, mostly to Spain. Oh, okay, the whole export, our destination were mostly Spain, $9.4 billion worth of trade exports. India was $8 billion. France was $4 billion. You wonder why Nigeria is always visiting, our president is always visiting France. United States, $4.8 billion. Netherlands, $4.2 billion. These were the aggregation or the breakdown of the amount of things we exported in 2022. Now, let's take our attention to the crude oil that we exported before we come back to the refined petrol that we exported. In fact, before we even do that, look at it. In the same 2022, let's look at our imports. The top imports of Nigeria, right here, the top import of Nigeria is what? Refined petrol product, $20 billion. Look at it, oh. Nigeria exported crude in 2022 of $52 billion, but imported petrol of $20 billion. Meaning what? We have a profit of $30 billion in 2022. And then NNPC tells you that they cannot support, they cannot pay because they cannot import fuel because they are owing the refineries. Meanwhile, we have profit here. In 2022, Nigeria exported $52.1 billion of crude oil, but imported, look at it again, $20 billion of refined petrol. Imported $3 billion worth of wheat. Cars, $1.2 billion. Can you imagine that? Broadcasting equipment, cameras, microphone, keyboard, amplifiers, speakers, broadcasting equipment, we imported $852 million worth of it. Vaccines, toxins and culture, mostly we're importing from China, Belgium, Netherlands and all that. Now, what does this tell us? What does this tell us? This information that is just in front of your screen now, what does this tell us? It tells us that NNPC is making profits. That's number one. NNPC is making profits because we can see that they exported $52 billion worth of crude oil and imported only $20 billion worth of refined petrol product, which they sold to us. That's number one. NNPC is making profit. Number two, NNPC is not paying any fuel subsidy. They are selling the crude oil and making more money from refined petrol. And this is possible because they actually just do trade by barter for the refined petrol product. Number three, you can find here that NNPC actually sells our petrol out of the country. Not only to Nigerians. I have been saying this for a very, very, very long time. Then number four, it is very, very possible that our refineries are actually working, but that the people at NNPC are lying to Nigerians that it is not. Yes, and they are using it as an excuse to give or award contracts of billions of dollars for turnaround maintenance, and then sabotaging such turnaround maintenance. Like we have seen, it's very, very possible. Even when we have a former minister of petroleum coming to tell us that what is turnaround maintenance? Turnaround maintenance is like maintaining your car. How do you now say that a car going for maintenance, for servicing, takes longer time to service than the time it takes to produce the car? Why would you say that? There's no big deal about turnaround maintenance of refineries. We don't need international engineers or companies to do turnaround maintenance of Nigerian refineries. Our own engineers can do it here. In fact, how many of you know that NNPC has a company, Netco, a subsidiary that is dedicated only to turnaround maintenance? And those people can do the turnaround maintenance. They've been doing it before Mele Kyari came, and they are still doing it now. How many of us know that? So they are sabotaging us deliberately. Four things. Before we go further, I told you before, this 2022 that Nigeria exported $52 billion worth of crude oil. Let us see what Let us see what the NNPC declared. Let's see what NNPC declared as revenue for that 2022 from sales of crude oil. Very quickly, I think that should be page 14. Let me just quickly go to page 14. Page 14. Okay, there we have it. That's page 14, all right? Now, page 14. Total revenue that NNPC claimed they made from 2022 is 2 trillion. Let me pull up my calculator once again. Okay, so in 2022, NNPC claimed that the total revenue they made, let's look at it. Revenue from contracts with customers, that's people who buy their crude oil. This is different from the JV partners now, who are those who help them extract the crude oil from the ground, whether JV partners or production sharing contracts. It's different from them. So these revenue from contracts with customers are the revenues they get from selling crude oil out. Now here, what NNPC declared, that in 2022, the total amount they made, they got from selling crude oil, from selling not only crude oil now this is a sad thing, from selling crude oil, natural gas, from their shipping company, from selling refined petrol product, all of those things, the total revenue they made was 2.8 trillion. Now, if we do even 3 trillion, 1, 2, 3. If we do 3 trillion and we divide that by 1,000, okay, 2022, it was still 2022, it was 700 or 750 to $1. So that will give you $4 billion. What NNPC declared as the amount of money they made from selling crude and selling natural gas and shipping and everything is $4 billion. Abi? Yeah, $4 billion. That is what NNPC recorded. But from what we can see on the website of the OEC, Nigeria exported $52 billion worth of crude oil. My God. So this clearly shows that NNPC doctored that audited account. NNPC lied on that audited account. Blatant, open daylight lie. It shows that NNPC is not remitting the dollars that we make. Now, in cost of sale, there of course is cost of sales. Cost of sales that NNPC said they made. Where is it again? Cost of sales, they say they spent 1.2 trillion naira, which is almost half of that amount. 1.2 trillion naira. Now, if you don't know, cost of sales is how much you spend to provide the product that you sell. How much you spend to provide the product that you sell. So that's the total expenditure. With the salaries you pay your staff, the pensions you pay your staff, the transportation cost, the cost of producing the product, in this case, extracting the crude oil, those are the cost of sales. Transporting and doing all of those things, total cost of sales is half of the amount they made. So if we go by that, it means that if NNPC spends half of the amount, it means that NNPC should have half of the $52 billion that they should have made in 2022. Half of the $52 billion. Nigeria, wake up. This is OEC. Again, in case you don't know, let me go to the definition of OEC. Okay, what OEC is about. OEC is Observatory of Economic Complexity. right? And it's the world's lead data visualization tool for international trade. OEC makes, okay, let me even just open the website. Let me open the website. So the Observatory of Economic Complexities is the world's leading data visualization tool for international trade data. The OEC makes more than 50 years of international trade data available through dozens of millions of interactive visualizations. Visit OEC, which is an external site, not affiliated to whatever. So these are some of the visualizations. And let me also announce to you that this site is a paid site. So the data you get from it is accurate data. Accurate data. Very, very accurate data. It was initiated or launched by MIT. By MIT. And they have come here to tell us in very clear terms that look, in 2022, this was what happened. Nigeria exported crude oil. Ha! Umagao. Nigeria exported crude oil worth $52 billion. Meanwhile, NNPC declared only $4 billion. Only $4 billion. Where is our dollar? No wonder people like Sanusi, Emir Sanusi, has been screaming, where is our dollar? I used to say, and I've always said, but I'm beginning to rethink that position, that the Minister of Finance does not know what's going on in the NNPC. The Ministry of Petroleum may not know what's going on in the NNPC. I'm beginning to think that there might just be a collusion. They are pretending not to know because they have the capacity to know actually. But they might just be pretending not to know so that they can have possible deniability. To say, we don't know or we didn't know. Because these billions of dollars that are missing, if we had them, there will be no need for Tinubu to be punishing Nigerians with incessant increase, unbearable increase in the pump price of petrol. What are we going to do with this data? What are we going to do with it? September 10 to September 12, we have a probe, a public hearing on the activities of the NNPC at the National Assembly. If you are in Abuja, please make yourselves available. Let us throw these questions to them. Let us begin to now prepare petitions. We have people we can petition. We can petition the committee, the oversight committee in the Senate, in the House of Representatives. We can petition the AFCC because this is fraud. We can petition ICPC because this is corrupt practices. We can petition the Nigerian police. We can write freedom of information requests to the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Petroleum. We can do a lot. There's a lot that we can do. Let's not just sit down and fold our hands while these low-cost leaders continue to run riot with wanton corruption. Where is our dollars? Where is our dollars? In the next video I'm going to show you the irregularities that are in this audited account that NNPC gave. About 13 irregularities that are potential fraud. 13 of them. 13. But before then, please, I want to beg you. This information we are putting out, we are not putting them out for the sake of putting them out. We are putting them out for the sake of arming ourselves with the right information to take the right action. It is clear now to me that this current set of people, they are not interested. Not that they cannot, they can. But they are not interested in acting in the interest of Nigerians. They are only interested in acting out the script of the IMF and the World Bank that will benefit their private pockets and then result in the transference of our wealth, our common wealth, to the global north. That's what they are interested in. So if Nigeria is going to be better, we need to change this set of people. This is not the time for us to be talking about merger for the sake of grabbing power alone. We did that in 2014. Look at what APC has turned into. This is not the time for business as usual. We did that with Labour Party. Look at what Labour Party has turned into. This is the time for you and I, the citizens of Nigeria, to come together to take action. This is crucial time. This is not the time to sit idly by or sit on the fence. The people who are benefiting from the corruption in Nigeria right now, they will not change the system. I know many of you like to proffer solution. You cannot continue to proffer solutions to people who are responsible for making the system the way it is and expect them to change it when they are benefiting from it. You cannot. In fact, doing that again and again and expecting a different result is insanity. So we need to change strategy. We need to change tactics. We need to look at the leadership recruitment process again. And that begins with the political parties. And it means that we need to create a new political party. I cannot stress this enough. Those of you who have questions who might come up now and say, oh, just doing a political party will not solve it. I have answers for you. But we'll do that separately. The video is already long enough, but please, click the link in the description and join us. Let us create this abundance party of Nigeria with clear-cut ideologies, clear-cut punishments for breaching those ideologies, well entrenched in our constitution. Yes, so that we can take back this country. And don't forget, Nigeria can be fixed. It just requires all our efforts. They are trying to distract us and divide us, but no, we'll continue to forge ahead with messages of unity. Yes, messages of unity.